JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Friday, February 28th, 2025, 9 a.m. on this last day of February. Talk quick about the market, some of the names I'm looking at, go from there. S&P futures in the green here this morning, slightly. S&P about 0.25% to the upside. NASDAQ futures are slightly in the green after yesterday's sell-off. And today is Bloodbath Friday. I mean, sense my sarcasm a little bit, but the S&P has averaged a 0.3% decline on Fridays in 2025. So hopefully we can buck the trend here today. This morning, PCE data came out in line, flat to expectations. So I guess you take that as a good thing. But I put it on the watch list this morning. It's like you can make a list of or create a story on why the market should be selling off, right? We had the tariffs, we had the DeepSeek, we have inflation concerns, excellent prices, right? Eggs going crazy. You have the new administration, the tariffs. You have the Doge cuts in the government, right? Unemployment there. There's a whole list of and things. You have reports, well, not reports, but the headlines over the last couple weeks about stagflation, right? A big period of stagflation is coming. So I mean, you can write a whole book on why the market should sell off, but the same stories that are popping up now are the same stories we had a couple of weeks and a couple months ago, outside of the Doge cuts and some other, the DeepSeek, right? So I always try and take things with a grain of salt. The economy is doing well, outside of consumer confidence most recently. So, and then yields have been going down, right? Typically, recessions or economic downturns aren't happening when yields are going down. So again, I keep posting this chart about the historicals in regards to February. The back half of February is always, it's historically a rough time frame. So we'll see what happens here. And then, the AI bubble, right? That's the next big thing, right? This AI bubble is going to pop. How much longer can all this CapEx spending continue to drive NVDA, right? How can they command the margins that they've been commanding, the revenue growth, all that fun stuff. So yeah, at some point, everything cycles. So we'll see what happens here today. My ideal scenario, and I hate to see red, right? I don't like to see the market sell off, but the ideal scenario here is maybe we get down to 582 on the SPY and bounce. And I think it's 6 of the past 7 sessions since we hit highs, the all-time highs. I think it was last Wednesday. The market's intraday high has been within the first 7 trading minutes of the day. So that's a pretty remarkable stat. So again, maybe we can buck the trend here today, get a sell off from the open, reverse, and then start to hit highs, and then that'll negate that bear sentiment or that bear case. That's kind of the market. So 582 is the first spot, and then if we do get more weakness, 578 would be kind of like the line in the sand scenario, and then you want to see that hold. Otherwise, if you fear that maybe we're going to start to head to some November lows, which I hope doesn't happen, but you can't rule that out. I always put trend lines on the watch list, and for some reason, so folks can see, they're not just lines I put up. These are like years and years of annotations. So if you look at all those lines, it looks a little sloppy, right? But if you pull those and close the range up, you can see support resistance. And I was saying on Rant yesterday, those lines are important to me, right? That's where the buyers either came in or the sellers came in, or vice versa, right? It's a history lesson. And not saying people have stops or limits for 10 years out, but some is proven pretty accurate. So any way to get an edge and support resistance, like one of the big things when I look at charts, for me, finding a couple areas where buyers came in, or a couple areas where sellers came in, and you can go from there. All right, so that's the overall market. Yields also continue to head lower. At least they were flat as a pancake yesterday. Hopefully that trend continues, and then maybe markets can find some footing here. Maybe we chop around and then small caps. Right? I'm not going to talk about small caps today. All right, so then just quick on the individual names. First, LMND was talking on the watch list yesterday morning. I'm like, if it breaks 32, I might add some more strikes. I'd add some calls after it broke 28 on Wednesday. Sure enough, opens 31.81, breaks over 32, and I'm watching. I'm like, this thing's going to squeeze. And Root had reported earnings too, so that kind of put some wind in the sails. I went and got some of the March 45s. By 11 o'clock or so, LMND was up near 36. I closed some of my 40s out for like 300%, then some for 700%. And then the 45s, I was able to close some out for 300%. So I'll just continue to hold the 45s. The 40s, I might be apt to close some out if there's weakness today. 35, I think it's 35.81 is the 50-day moving at 35.71. So if it gets over 35.71, holds that, maybe that bodes well into next week. And also a good sign considering the name has been pretty susceptible to the short sellers. So the market was selling off and it kind of still closed up 12%, albeit off its highs, but still like this one into next week. But again, I'll take some more off if it shows some weakness here today. That's lemonade. And then on the put side, so always be hedging. I put on a watch list yesterday morning. 594 was a big spot for me. The SPY was opening 598, and then with a matter of 15 minutes, it broke from 598 down to that 594 handle. I went and was looking for some put hedges, and I thought, hey, maybe there's going to be a sell the news event with NVDA and some other sympathy names. I actually was looking at Arista Network calls, but that was reversing high. So I said, let me look at a name, and Broadcom's a name I've traded over the past for put hedges. It was at like, I think it was 211, 212. I got to 200 puts, and then in a matter of 10 minutes, they were up like 400%. I locked some in, and I locked some in the afternoon. Um, you know, I think it was at Broadcom was like 204. I would have to go back and look. Maybe it was 203. Uh, I didn't want to be in a spot where we have an end of day spike because we've seen it in the past where the last 30 minutes of trading, all of a sudden just a magical hand comes in or someone hits a button and we get this big reversal. So I went and closed the last of those Broadcom 200s, and then I went and got some 195s as just to hedge into today. And then sure enough, what happens? There was no rally, no reversal, and Broadcom drops all the way under 200, tests 196 at points. At times, my puts, I got them for like 31 cents. They were over $4, but can't cry over spilled milk. That was the plan. You can that's how I rationalize it. I mean, you do this long enough, you've seen spikes many times over the years where I've had positions reverse course in the last 30 minutes of trading, and you're like, what the heck just happened? So you stop, you go to the bathroom, you come back, and your positions went from up a couple 100% to red. Didn't want to be in that position. So I did get to 195s. I was able to lock some of those in too, which was nice. And then I'll just hold those. If we do get kind of one of those picture perfect reversals, we get a dip and then a reversal, I might go the other way on Broadcom and trade it for a move to 205 plus. So that's kind of the thought process there. Redfin reported earnings after the close yesterday, just similar to Teladoc, just laid an egg. Missed on EPS for the current quarter, and then its guidance was weak on the revenue side. It's going to be tough to create like a bull story around that name pending any kind of like Zillow news, right? And any acquisition news or what have you. Or if yields and mortgage rates continue to drop, then maybe it becomes a play like it was back in the summer and fall, but summer and early fall. For now, I'll just kind of sit on my hands. Other names, I keep talking about Caterpillar and URI. If Caterpillar finds a footing, and I don't want to catch a falling knife, but yesterday kind of flat. It was green for a little bit. Day before green. If it starts to find a bit, it could find its way to 360. So if the market finds footing, might look for some calls there. And then Visa and Visa and JP Morgan. I mean, you can't script this, right? Markets are under pressure, and Visa just hit all-time highs yesterday. It came off its lows, was down to 352 in a pre-market, and then it's been bouncing here. At some point, it's going to have a big move. Maybe it's to the upside. I could be wrong, but if the market does have weakness, that could be a name I get some put hedges into next week. Let's say the SPY doesn't hold 582. Maybe I'll look to get some put hedges there into next week. And that's it. And then I keep talking about MicroStrategy. I mean, with all the catalysts out there that I think could push the markets, I think this crypto thing, right? I mean, take a look at gold today. It's down another percent. And much I want to trade gold. And my thoughts there. It's that one's I could see gold going down to $2,500, but it went up to near 3,000. With the Bitcoin, it's like a different story, right? I mean, so we'll see. MicroStrategy, I think it was down to 220 in the overnight session. I'm like, oh, this is not going to look good. It's up to here at 240. Hopefully that finds a bid. Barron's writes a piece this morning about MicroStrategy and crypto, and it's not even about what happens if MicroStrategy fell to $100. It's just they might not buy as much, and then maybe they're going to have to sell soon. So I don't know who, and that's maybe one of my missions. Well, one of my mission the last couple of weeks was finding this anomaly where strategy sells off at the end of the day on Friday. So I'll be watching that again today. But I definitely need to do a little digging over the weekend on kind of like, I wouldn't call it a black swan, but the more I'm looking, I'm like, maybe this is set up to impact markets somewhat. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.